All right, gang. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Going to give people just a couple minutes to come on in the door. We've already got a lot of people in the chat. Post where you're from, where you're watching from, what's going on, what rudiments you've been playing, what you've been working on. Just so you know up front, I'm going to pick one person who comments in the chat today at the 30-minute mark and give a year-long subscription to my website, which is if I remember correctly, a $300 value, access to almost 500 lessons organized into 30-something courses, a community to be a part of people working on similar material, speaking the same language, personal guidance from me, personal guidance from the method mentors. It's a really fun place to be. So throughout the lesson, feel free to throw questions you have in there, thoughts, emojis, where you're from, a fun fact about you, and I will be picking someone at random to join us on the site for a month. Who else we got here? By the way, I'm calling here from New York City. I'm in Queens, Long Island City, in this strange sort of industrial no man's land where there happens to be space for a rehearsal space of this sort. We've got Bobby from India. We've got Portal from Minneapolis. We've got somebody French. What else we got here? Latvia, Albuquerque, Poland, France. Bonjour. Orléans, France. There's a lot of people from France. Vancouver, Canada, Spain, Greece, Pittsburgh, Taiwan, Finland, Japan, New Jersey, California, Argentina. Okay, I'm going to stop doing this, but man, the glories of the internet. All right, guys, let's start jumping into this. If you've watched one of my YouTube masterclasses before, welcome back. You kind of know what we're getting into here. If you're new to my YouTube masterclasses, welcome. What I try to do in these is provide a really rigorous path of study to develop a subset of vocabulary that's really useful in the 40 minutes to an hour that I'm shooting for here. What that means is I'm going to really teach you some concepts and some specific methods for developing this vocabulary. So if you are a very self-directed studier, you're going to be able to take what I do today, no matter what your level is, and and build a lot of vocabulary with it. Right? So this is the type of masterclass I recommend having a notebook for, taking notes. Right? I'm going to have things on the screen, like these types of things that help us understand what we're talking about. And this is meant to be really as rigorous as it gets. So this is not a quick takeaway lick that you can go try on the kit and forget in 2 weeks. This is a whole subset of vocabulary that if you spend time building, you will continue using and expanding for the rest of your life, right? And I can virtually guarantee that. So this is essential elements of my playing and methods that virtually, if you take the time, virtually guarantee that you'll be building, you'll be able to flow and improvise with this material. So that's what we're up to today. Before we get into the meat and potatoes here, I do want to say there's a promo code starting right now, and that expires this Saturday night at midnight. The code is Paradiddle, Paradiddle, Paradiddle. And it'll give you 30 days free at jpbuffetmethod.com. So you go, you sign up for a monthly subscription. At the checkout screen, you put Paradiddle in the promo code spot, and it'll cost $0. You can cancel anytime. You don't have to stick around. I hope you will, but there's no obligation beyond that. So, you can do it now, or you can do it as soon as this class is over. You can see if, this can be your testing space. Is the content good? Am I really going to learn anything there? And then you can hop over to jpbuffetmethod.com, Paradiddle, and you get 30 days free to try everything out, and that's full access to everything. I should mention, I started doing guest courses last year. People like Matt Halpern from Periphery, Darren King from Mute Math, Jairus Yoakley, who's the one I'm forgetting? Ricardo Merlini, fastest drummer on earth. And I can say that next guest I'm very excited about is Annika Nillies. And her course will drop mid-March. So if you use the 30-day code, you'll have access to her course, which is titled something like the 5 go-to grooves and fills of Anakin Nilly's, with supplementary lessons taught by yours truly to help you expand on the ideas even further. I'm really against the like one lick takeaway types of things. So everything's expansive, and the students on the site tend to really appreciate that. So Anakin Nilly's, that's coming up. And like I said, if you're just joining now, I'm going to be giving away a full year subscription. That's a $300 subscription to anyone who comments anything in the chat here. So, okay, that's it. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's start talking about the real deal here. I'm going to pull up a summary of what we are up to today. Here's the summary. Let's get the vocab straight, and then we're going to start learning some stuff based on the paradiddle. So my goal today, I have 2 goals. One, to help you turn your paradiddles into actually useful improvisational vocabulary on the drum set. If you're like me, you spent possibly decades of your life playing paradiddles on a practice pad and never really figuring out how that was supposed to help you when you sat down at the drum set. For me, 8-9 months ago, a door kind of got unlocked, and the paradiddle became the center of a subset of vocabulary that is now central to my playing, and that I now see in everyone else's playing, and that I now see is just like, it's a through line all the way back to like jazz cats like Tony Williams and Elvin Jones playing exactly this type of material, but it's not jazz vocab. It's not old vocab. It's super hip and modern. The second goal we have with the paradiddle stuff is that this is a subset of vocabulary that can scale beyond most of your other vocabulary in speed. This stuff can be played extremely fast. It doesn't have to be, but it can be played at speeds far beyond where your other vocabulary is either impossible to play or just starts to sound dumb. So those are the 2 goals for today, and it's all going to be based around the paradiddle and adaptations to it. Now, I want to give you the punchline right up front. What we're doing here is, at the broadest level, an approach that can be applied to many different things. It's called the stuttering and extending approach, and I'm going to explain how it works with the paradiddle briefly, and then we're going to take step-by-step approaches to building it, because just jumping into the deep end, as we're going to see, is not going to really work for us. So what the stuttering and extending approach is, we have a paradiddle. We have paradiddle. Let's just take right, left, right, right. Paradiddle. What we're going to do is basically explore ways to stutter the para. So do para, 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 diddle. Para, 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 diddle, right? So if I'm playing paradiddle, 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 and I stutter the para, I get paradiddle, paradiddle, para, paradiddle, paradiddle, para, paradiddle, para, 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 para. And you start to hear what happens. A melody comes out. Paradiddle, paradiddle, para, paradiddle, paradiddle, para, 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 paradiddle, paradiddle, boom. Which is already an enormous leap away from playing the paradiddle by itself, because that melody is quarter notes, right? I'm always talking about rhythmic vocabulary as the root of all creative drumming. What this means is that if you can't create interesting melodies, rhythmic melodies with the material you're using, there's no amount of dressing it up fancy that's going to make it interesting. It's just going to always be boring. You might play it fast, be boring and fast. You might orchestrate it. It'll be boring and interestingly orchestrated. But the very core thing that matters the most is lacking, which is why our first step is going to be building melodies. But anyway, so now you're starting to hear a melody emerge. So that's the stuttering part. And then we say the extending part. And this part, we're going to take the diddles and say we could add diddles. Paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle, 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 paradiddle, right? And I do that as much as I want. And then if I just extend the diddles and I don't stutter the paras, I can have something like paradiddle, 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 diddle, paradiddle, diddle, diddle, paradiddle, diddle, paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle, paradiddle, diddle, paradiddle, paradiddle. If I play that, it sounds like this. Or a little faster. So if I take these two together, let me just give away the sort of punchline fully here. If I stutter the paras and extend the diddles, what I can do, and I'm just going to keep it on snare drum for now, not thinking about orchestration, not kick drums. Listen to the melodies that are possible here. I can't quite sing that fast, but paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Okay, we're able to create not only melodies, but an unfolding melody that we can control. Now, sounds easy, simple enough. Those are the rules of the game. However, this opens up a box where there are an infinite number of options we can play with. That's a very dangerous place to be. It sounds like that's where we want to be when we're thinking about improvisation. And they're like, I want, to be able to play anything. But the problem with having infinite options is that we as humans are not, we're not equipped to deal with that abundance of options. So what actually happens is we end up getting stuck in certain habits and ruts. And without having a system, a mental framework for thinking about ways we could create melodies systematically, which is what we're going to do in this masterclass, instead, we have this feeling that we're exploring ideas, but in the back of our mind, we're like, I feel like everything I'm playing is sounding the same. I feel like I'm playing the same melodies all the time. No matter what I do on the drums, I feel like I'm always playing the same thing. The reason that's happening is usually because the rhythmic melodies you're playing underneath are the same, even if you're dressing them up differently. So we're going to go through this systematically. And then at the end, I'm going to throw in some extra tips and tricks to make some of my favorite things to add to this. So here are the steps we're going to take. Step 1, we need a melodic strategy. How do we start making melodies, unfolding melodies that we can control with paradiddles? Step 2, we need to add space. That's where extending the diddles comes in, but we need systematic ways for doing that, not just random. Step 3, add kick drum. Kick drum integration into flow is many drummers' biggest challenge. And I have a few ways that we can integrate the kick really thoroughly and have it sound cool with this vocabulary. Let's get on with it. So, step 1, melodic strategy. What we're going to use here is what I call the 4-2 down up. You can also call it the paradiddle down up. And basically all it is we're rearranging 4s and 2s on the fly. Again, this is a game that sounds simple. We want to start in a place that is relatively simple so that we can build variation on top of it. The simple place where we start is a melodic strategy because, like I said, that's the root of creative drumming. And if the unfolding melody is controlled and interesting, then your life is easy decorating it from there. Our group of 4 is going to be the paradiddle. Either the first, either right hand, right, right, or the left hand, left, right, left. Our group of 2 is going to be right, left, both accented. Bold is accented here. Or left, right, both accented. So simply enough, those are the rules of the game. If we take a look at some examples, let's sing, right, the first example here. 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. Paradiddle, 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 para. Here I go. Play it. 3 and the 4 and the. Right, so as you're starting to hear, like I mentioned, this vocabulary can go really fast, but it can also go really slow, and it's useful regardless. So that's example number 1, just to show you how this works. Now, I want to just pause real quick and define right off the bat the first milestone. The first milestone that we're aiming at is to be able to do the 4-2 down up, to rearrange 4s and 2s on the fly, according to these rules, with nothing fancy added, with perfect control and with awareness of where beat 1 is. We don't drop beats. We don't do anything like that. What we're working toward is the ability to go, I won't even play. I'll play it on my list. 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. Now, I've made that easy for myself. I can play an infinite melody, this is an obvious sort of prerequisite for improvising on the drums or coming up with a fill on the spot. I don't have to do it forever. I can just do it for one measure and I have a fill. That's the milestone we're aiming at, milestone number 1. Take a look at the second example here. It's just twice as long. You'll also start to get good at singing these. This is something I really emphasize in the course. These are 3 examples from 3 different lessons, but these are plucked from, each one of these is plucked from a PDF of probably about 15 examples each. These are 1 measure examples. There aren't 15 of them, but then 2 measure examples and then over the bar line examples. So again, if this is something you want to dig deep into, the course goes very systematically. There's a lot of supplementary materials to make sure that you really can't lose as far as building this material. Second example here, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Sorry, paradiddle, 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 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 4, 4. So you can hear the melody that you're gonna play. Da, do, da, 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 dum, dum, ba, dum, boo, da, do, da, da, dum, 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 da, do. Sounds like this. If you take nothing from this masterclass except one thing, what I would love it to be is that next time you sit at a practice pad, actually every time you sit at a practice pad, and you think about doing paradiddles, instead rearrange 4s and 2s on the fly. And at first you won't be able to do it on the fly, right? Write down 5 examples like these, 10 examples like these, download the PDF from the website with a bunch of examples like these, and do this because it becomes easy fast. And then once you do that work up front, you can, again, everything's smooth sailing. Take a look at the third example here. What's important here is we're going over the bar line. That dotted bar line in the middle, that indicates that the 4 is sort of like bisected by the bar line. So we go, listen, I'll clap the second downbeat in the second bar. 4, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4. It's between the 4s. You're on 4s on upbeats. We talk about the down up method, a 4, 2, down up, paradiddle, down up. Greater detail in the course, but you get the idea. We're going to the upbeat here. We're staying there, going over the bar line, coming back down. So what does this sound like? Paradiddle, 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 4, 2, 4, 2, sorry, 4, 4, 4, 2 to 4, 4, 2 to 4, 4. All right. This is step 1, right? And obviously this is a 40-minute masterclass. So I can only do so much, a guided practice here, but you know the milestone. Be able to rearrange 4s and 2s on the fly. That gives you the melody because that's the first step in our summary that we need to develop. We need a melodic strategy. It's the 4-2 down up. And now we know how to do that. Create yourself the examples that you need and rock on. Okay, so let's take a look at, oh, wait, I did want to tell you. The key to playing this fast, right? Just a side note for people who are going to do this, I don't see why you wouldn't make this your new practice pad routine because it translates directly onto the drum set. To play this stuff super crazy fast, there's one adaptation you'll want to make, and it is for the 2 to remove the second note. So instead of right, left, it's just right, because then you can start the next 4 with your left hand. So if I take this top one here, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. It goes 4, 4, 2, 4, right? It's not da-da 4, it's 2, 4. Instead of going right, right, I go right, left. It's easier to do fast. I'm alternating hands more frequently. And then it sounds like this. That's what I mean by this can outpace all of your other vocab. If you do like right, left, left kick stuff, right? To try to play that fast, it's not that it's impossible. It just sounds dumb, right? Let me try to play it that fast. It sounds bad. So you have to, right, as the tempo increases, you sort of certain subsets of vocabulary become more useful and less useful depending on the tempo and so forth. So this is going to be your as fast as humanly possible type of vocabulary. All right, let's talk about step 2. Before we talk about step 2, in case you're just joining us, try a free month, right? At jbbmethod.com, you can study this material way more in depth. There's a 17 lesson course that is currently unfolding on the site where we do this step by step with enormous guidance. You have personalized feedback at the end of each chapter from method mentors on the site, some very trustworthy, excellent, longtime students of mine who are now incredible teachers and educators and players. You're part of the community. You're doing great work. So if you use the code Paradiddle, you can go right now before Saturday night. You can try 30 days for free. You can cancel anytime, but I hope you stick around. Also, I mentioned earlier on, Annika Nilly's course is coming up in the mid-March. You'll have access to that too. And anyone? Oh, there he is. Thanks for the heads up. Try the Paradiddle promo code. That's what I was saying. And I'm giving away a 1-year subscription. That's a $300 subscription to anyone who comments anything in the comments here at the 30-minute mark, which is in 6 minutes. I will choose someone at random to get a year free. So if you're interested in digging deeper into this stuff, if you're interested in being a part of a community of drummers who are interested in a little bit more rigorous online education than is typically found on the internet, my goal with my courses is to offer university level rigor of courses, which doesn't mean it's hard. It doesn't mean it's necessarily advanced. I have courses that get very advanced, but it just means that it's rigorous and that it's serious and that it's not really about like entertaining you and having fun, because I've always felt, and a lot of students echo this back to me, that the real fun is getting better at the drums, is mastering your instrument. So that's what's on offer, the Paradiddle promo code. Anybody commenting getting a year? Let's move on to step 2. Here we go. Step 2, we have add space. This is crucial. So right now we have 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4. We can do that forever. And that's great, but that is super limiting as far as it's super limiting, and it's really obvious what you're doing, right? So the audience is going to very quickly feel, consciously or not, they'll recognize what's going on. This is why we need to add space. And space does an incredible job of disguising the game that you are playing. In this case, I want to offer 2 methods for developing space, for adding space here, again, systematically, so that you're not just thrown into the deep end of like randomly add space and sort of see what happens. That's never a good approach for the most part. So the first thing is to simply add paradiddle diddles, right? So again, we're talking about extending the diddles, right? This is the stuttering and extending approach here. Extending the diddles. If we extend one diddle, paradiddle, diddle, we have a paradiddle diddle. Paradiddle, diddle, we have a group of 6. We can actually look at the same examples we've been using, and whenever we see a 2 next to a 4, we can say that's a 6. So if I pull up these examples, right, I've, with this ridiculously thick underline, underlined the 2 4s that are possible here. So now you're going to hear 3 and a 4, 4, 6, 6, 4, 4, 6, 2, boom. And notice that it'll sound much more spacious. I just saw someone say use There's no way I'm not using Chat GPT to rearrange 4s and 2s. It's actually a really, really good idea. Any number randomizer. Yeah, Chat GPT, give me random 4s and 2s. You have to kind of contend with like, they won't always fit within the bar. Again, randomness is not always the best. Not, I was going to say one more reason to jump on the actual chorus where I've sort of vetted the examples and they definitely make sense. But it'll be a good challenge for you to figure out which examples it gives you do make sense. So anyways, so this is, right, one method, adding paradiddles along the way. And what we want to work toward is being able to use paradiddles, groups of 6 like this, sort of freely and at will. And one of my favorite exercises that I would encourage you to try is as soon as you become comfortable playing paradiddles, looping them, right? 3 and a 4 and a paradiddle, bada boom. What you can do is loop 6s and then interject 2s in there randomly. So it'll sound like paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. This sounds extremely cool, especially when you go fast. It sounds like this. And then you can inject some 4 singles, so para, 2 2s in a row. Sorry. Really high vocab, and it's just this. So we want to get to a place where we can now, our milestone number 2 here is the paradiddle down up, right? So 4s and 2s, but optional also 6, because the 6 is another way that it moves you from downbeat to upbeat, something we talk about in great detail in the course. But again, this is the down to up method, switching from downbeat to upbeat and back on the fly. You can use a 2 to do that, or you can use a 6. It doesn't matter which one you use. And when you start mixing them all together, now it's going to feel like there's actually a lot of variety in the core melody. So if I just play 2s, 4s, and 6s, according to our rules, and I won't break them at all, right? It's not going to sound like the most interesting drumming you've ever heard, but the constraints are extremely tight still. And we eventually break these down. So here we go, 2s, 4s, and 6s. Oh, this key. Pretty killing for like literally I'm just playing rudiments still on the snare drum. Okay, so that is the first way to add space. The second way to add space is a little open-ended, right? And as I said, open-ended approaches can be dangerous, but I think this one is useful. I use this concept in a lot of different places teaching improvisation. It's the on-off switch. And what I mean is you are mentally flipping the switch on and off. The off position is no melody. You're just playing ghost notes as doubles. Infinite diddles, extending, extending, extending. When you flip the switch on, you're turning on the melody stuff, right? This is the 2s and 4s and 6s I was just working on. So now let's say you've been following my advice. You've been building. Oh my gosh, we're at the 30-minute mark. 1 second. I'm going to choose someone. Don't worry. We've been building this vocabulary. We're feeling pretty comfortable with it. And now we're like, okay, I want to add space. So I can just turn on all this stuff and turn it off, right? And in the beginning, you do this in a way that's really blocky and boring. It's like one measure of this and then one measure of melodies. But very quickly, you start just flipping the switch momentarily. So you're like, melodies, 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 melodies. And what comes across to the listener is now these other groupings are just appearing, right? You're playing groups of 8, 9, 10 notes. I guess they're all even numbers, 8, 10, 12, 14 notes. But you're not really thinking of them that way. Like they're receiving something more complicated than you're thinking. That's one of the mantras on the website. Think simple thoughts, play complex things, right? So in this case, I'm going to flip the switch off. I'm going to do it when I want. And you don't know when that's happening. So notice how much variety this adds and how little additional thinking I need to do to make it happen. Here we go. Now the rules of the game are completely obscure. Anyone listening is going to have no idea what you're doing. And you're still just doing basically the 4-2 down up and throwing some sixes in there. So very exciting stuff. I love when you're able to keep thinking simple thoughts and just you have this blossoming, this branching off of complexity in your playing, where people on the other side are like, that was infinite complexity, right? You're just like pulling, channeling the muses. You're like, actually, I'm literally just thinking of 2s, 4s, and 6s and then turning it on and off. And the result is something pretty interesting. So again, practice pad work. Do this stuff. Whenever, you don't even need a practice pad. Nah. This is the kind of thing you should do anywhere. And then suddenly you'll be like, oh, I can just do it. I can just do it on the kit. Cool. Anyways, all right. So we are to the point where I'm giving away a $300 annual subscription on my website, jpbuffetmethod.com. I've had the number, let's do the number 20. I am going to count back 20 comments starting literally right now, starting with this person. So commenting now is not going to help you. I'm going to play a timpani roll. I'm going to do a little countdown. 20 is going to serve us as a countdown too. We have 1, 2, count backwards, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Zen. Your name on YouTube is Zen, Z-E-N. And beautifully coincidentally, your comment was, digging into this over a few months sounds like fun. Well, have I got news for you, my friend? You are going to dig into this for 12 whole months with me. Anyways, Zen, shoot me an email, jp@jpbuffetmethod.com. I'd love to hook you up with this. I'm very excited to work together and see you kicking some ass with this material. Everyone else, go take 30 days free. Use the promo code Paradiddle. Sign up for a monthly subscription. Enter the code Paradiddle at the checkout page. You can cancel anytime in 30 days. You don't have to stay. There's no obligation. But I hope you do. And I'll send you an email. We'll send you an email when you sign up, and we'll talk about goals to make sure you find the right courses. You're not going to be just dropped into this ocean of lessons and left to your own devices. So, All right, guys, step 3. Step 3, we're almost on schedule. I'm never on schedule with these things, really, because I can't stop myself blabbing on and on. But step 3 is adding kick drum. This is a big challenge for a lot of drummers. And I've got 2 ways to do it. Actually, 3. There's a third one that we'll talk about after. The first one, again, let's say you've been working through the course on the website, or you've been practicing this stuff just from this masterclass. You are doing the 4-2 down up beautifully. That means you're rearranging 4s and 2s on the fly and 6s, and it's feeling comfortable. You're making melodies. You know where 1 is. You're not dropping beats. It's sounding just awesome, and it feels really good to do. This is one of the other things students say a lot. It feels really good to do this stuff once it starts really flowing. They call it flow for a reason. Now, one thing we can do to start getting the kick drum involved is simply start replacing the accent with a kick drum. This is going to feel a little awkward at first, but once you sort of program the coordination, it's always the same, right? It's always kick right, left, left, kick left, right, right. It's always one of these things. So for example, if I loop Paradiddles and I replace the first note with a kick drum, it sounds like this. Okay, now what is immediately cool is I don't have to all kicks or all snare drums. I can choose some of these are snare drums, some of them are kick drums. You'll also notice that I am air drumming that downbeat. It helps a lot. It sort of fools your mind into thinking your hand's playing it, and somehow your left hand, your ghost note hands, will just keep going. So there's that. But if we look all the way back at our first examples, we can take 4-4-2-4-2, and let's say we try to make it first. We make it all kick drums. Fine and dandy. That doesn't really sound cool, though. I mean, it's a good exercise, but really you're going to want to mix this up, right? So if I try to do this one and find a melody that sounds nice, we go. Fun. Typically, what I find, the 2s, not the best place to put the kick drum. I like to keep them as accents. The 4s are really nice. And just another tip, when I do the 4s, I actually don't alternate right to left. I tend to go kick, right, left, left, over and over again. I feel like you probably should do both. Just haven't really gotten there yet. Sometimes I do. Sometimes you can't avoid it. But when I'm consciously doing this, that's my default. The group of 6, same thing. You replace whatever hand you're on, and you basically think you continue playing the Paradiddles. So anyways, now we can imagine what this looks like as when we switch to our creative exercises, right? We do the exercises on the PDF. If you're studying, the course, or you're writing out examples, you're being very specific and systematic about exposing yourself to all the options. Then you flip into creative practice mode, which is when you're making it up on the spot, according to the constraints that you were just working on in the exercises. It doesn't mean you're just sort of freestyling it. It's very specific type of constrained creativity. So now I'm doing 2s, 4s, and 6s. Let's say, again, we're on this journey together. I've already gotten good at that. I'm flowing. I just showed you. So now I'm like, all right, kick drum. Now I'm going to start replacing kick drums, right? And I did these exercises. So I got the coordination kind of happening. But it's a different skill to improvise it. It feels different. It's a different part of your brain. Just because I did all the exercises doesn't mean I can just start playing a solo with this stuff. I have to practice doing a solo. I have to practice the skill of rearranging this on the fly, rearranging the numbers on the fly, and choosing whether there's snare drums and kick drums. Okay, so what that sounds like, something like this. Cool. Keep in mind, we're not even orchestrating a single note yet. But as soon as you start to, it's going to sound like, you're going to sound like Philly Joe Jones over here. A little demo with this exact stuff. Now I'll just move a hand around every now and then. Great. So that's one way to get your kick drum in there, replace notes. Another one, and this is one that I think is really fun. When you're extending the diddles, when you're in the off position, right, melodically, you're just playing diddle, 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 diddle. What you do is instead of playing doubles, double, 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 you play the three-legged double. Right, right, left, left, kick, kick. Right, right, left, kick, kick, right, right, left, kick, kick, right, right, left, kick, kick. So it sounds like this. And then you orchestrate it too. So you're not really off, like content is being played, but in your mind, if you've practiced this three-legged double a little bit, it becomes easy, and you're just like, I'm kind of just filling space on purpose. This is space, negative space, and then I'm going to go back into the melody. So what the three-legged double sounds like is this. And yes, you should be thinking, what if I do left, right instead of right, left? Can I just extend the diddles? Yes, you can totally. There's a whole sort of like little mini subset of vocabulary just with this idea. But for the sake of simplicity, again, short masterclass, we're just going to think right, right, left, left, kick, kick. So now I have two things. Like before, I had the on switch is the melodic content, 2-4-6. The off switch was diddles. Now it's on switch is 2-4-6. Off switch is three-legged double. And when I do that, I'm getting a lot of kick drums in there, sounding cool. My on position also has kick drums in it now because I'm replacing some of the melody notes. Right, so if I go slow with this, at first I'll really do sort of like 2 measures of one and 2 measures of space, just so we can hear it more obviously. And then I'll start flipping the switch just in my mind whenever I want. And again, it'll be impossible to know what I'm thinking. So there we go with the three-legged double. And the last, let's check our stats here. Yep, there we are. The last little piece of advice I want to give you with the kick drum, and this will kind of bring us into the extra spice, and then we'll wrap it up category here. The other thing to work on here, right? You work on, right now we're building what I call a subset of vocabulary. It's like a subset of vocabulary is a self-contained set of patterns or a method of playing that is sufficient for improvisation, right? You don't have to leave the space. You can improvise sort of infinitely with infinite variety within the subset and do so with control. That doesn't mean that you can do anything, right? It is limited. But one of the essential steps when you're learning any subset of vocabulary is to then integrate it with everything else that you do on the drums. So I like to think about my vocabulary in many different subsets of vocabulary. But with this one, what I might do is like, okay, I've built this. I've spent 2 months really practicing this stuff, and I'm feeling really comfortable with it. Now it's time to start integrating it with the stuff that I do most typically, my comfort zone vocabulary. And this is where, when you think about like integrating the kick drum, if you have another subset of vocabulary that is really kick heavy, start by integrating this material with that material, because it's hard to get the kick drum in this material. It's just like not super kick friendly. So pick something that's kick friendly and go for it. So like, for example, maybe you do, like I mentioned earlier, the right, left kick kind of stuff, where you're doing 4s and 2s, same melodies. You're going, like this. Okay, so I'm doing that. Let's say I substitute the right, left kick for right, left kick, kicks. I have double kick. Ooh, nice. It's pretty kick heavy now. So now I'm moving between, my next sort of integration creative exercise is I'm moving between the subset of my paradiddle down up and the subset of right, left kick plus right, left kick vocabulary. Now, if I do that, you know what's going on in my head. See if you can kind of notice how it comes across. And it'll just feel like there's more kick drums. There's just a lot going on now, and it starts to become really, it's impossible to, no one would ever listen to what I just played and be like, oh, he's thinking about paradiddle 4s and 2s, right? So you've completely disguised what's going on. We're moving between subsets, and a lot's going on. So as one last final thought before we talk about some of my favorite like sort of adaptations and add-ons to this stuff, this paradiddles subset, I find personally in my playing, I never use it, not never. I seldom use it exclusively, right? It's not like the only thing. This isn't going to like get you through drumming forever, but I find I am almost always integrating it. I'm mixing it with whatever I'm doing. So if I'm using right, left kick style, I'm doing linear drumming. If I'm using some unisons type of thing that I've been working on, I find myself constantly filling the space, almost like the off switch almost. Well, not quite, but flipping a switch into the paradiddles subset. So I just want to flag that, because you might find like as you're doing it, you're like, this isn't like the primary fill material. This isn't like the gospel chops that I want to shred on, like get the big fill. That's okay though, because what you're going to find is the big chops is a slightly different subset of vocabulary, but you're going to use this to fill that space constantly between those other chunks. Take it from me. That's what I've discovered in 9 months of digging deep into this stuff. Okay, 3 small ideas that are really exciting. This is the extra spice. If you're joining very late, use the code Paradiddle, promo code Paradiddle. and get 30 days for free, full access to everything, including personal guidance from me and the 2 method mentors, excellent drummers and teachers on the site, membership in the Facebook community, access to almost 500 lessons, and we'll help you find the right courses. That offer ends Saturday night. Jump on it. I would love to show you some of this material and dig deeper and work together. So the last couple extra spice things. We're doing the paradiddle down now. So it's right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. I am constantly substituting in this paradiddle 2, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. It's just a slightly different pattern, but it has a different melody. It has this melody in it. So if I'm putting it in the 4s and 2s, I'll try to give you a wink every time I use it. It's just a really satisfying piece, both to play physically and to hear. I think it adds a lot. That was 100% paradiddle subset plus this alternate sticking. Next thing, this material is surprisingly easy to convert into groove stuff, right? And I would say like groove adjacent improv, right? So you could use this as a pretty interesting groove or as a groove-based fill. But like, check it out. If I move my hands over here on the hi-hat, I lowered my hi-hat a ton so you could see my snare drum better. But let me bring it up so I can actually demonstrate this well. So if I just basically play paradiddles over here, 2 4 6, 2 4 6s. Here we go. I don't want to always demonstrate stuff fast because even slow, this stuff sounds really cool. Someone just asked, can we find this content in detail on your website? Yes. There's a 17 lesson course that takes you from ground zero to, through all of these steps. So everything I'm describing right now is a whole lesson, every step, with a PDF with 20 examples on it, with creative exercises, and me playing all of the examples with you and explaining how everything's working. It's a very methodical process. If I specialize in anything, it's creating step-by-step methods for building exactly this type of improvisational vocabulary. So yes, Alexander Finet, that's the place to find it. Use the code Paradiddle, get 30 days free, and give it a whack. Is it essential to get the left foot from the start? That's a good question. Not essential, strongly encouraged, I would say. You're going to want it because your audience might need it, but don't let it completely hold you back, right? If you've got your hands moving and your left foot is just like totally not able to hang, it's okay to build the vocabulary anyways and try to get your left foot happening afterward, because this isn't the most melodically confusing material. Right? If we were playing like groups of 5 and 7, super syncopated, weird stuff, I'd be like, yeah, the listener needs your hi-hat, because we're going to be lost and you can't even use it then. But with this material, you're talking 2s, 4s, 6s, you're talking even numbers, you're mostly good. Does it help with counting? Does it help your counting? Yes. Thinking about numbers in general, like the 4-2 down up here, singing 4s and 2s, singing 6s. This is all good for your counting. Okay, the last idea I want to share with you is this also converts into ride comping really well. I use this stuff all the time. So again, I'm basically playing the exact same material, 2s, 4s, and 6s, maybe some space every now and then, but I'm moving over to the ride. Listen to, there's a couple adaptations that I'll like add a kick drum with the right hand, which I wouldn't do down here. I might play doubles between both hands and foot, but it's all coming from the same exact material. So now that you know what's going on in my head, I'll try to limit myself to that and just listen for it. Here we go. Right, so that paradiddle diddle left hand lead I'm using a lot. Right hand lead. That was basically all 4s and 6s. But then, of course, again, I keep saying this, but the point of mastering the subset of vocabulary isn't to just use it on a whole song. This is just something you flip into for a second when you're comping on the ride. So now I'm just gonna like play time on the ride. So like think modern jazz or something. Straight time, modern jazz, something's going on, someone's soloing, and then I'm gonna wink at you when I'm using the 2-4-6 stuff. I'll turn it on, I'll turn it off and go back to regular comping stuff. Right? So you're starting to see those 2s, 4s, 6s be everywhere. And at this speed, I mean, part of the reason it works is because at this speed, like 2, 4, 6s are the right type of melody to play. Boom. As opposed to like 3s and 5s and 6s that are super syncopated. Right? That might be the vibe you're going for, and it might be momentarily the vibe you're going for. But these melodies really work at these higher tempos because the melodies themselves are on a slower subdivision, the 8th note grid, which is like really overlooked, I feel like. So that, folks, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. That's it. That's it, folks. I never keep it to 40 minutes, but here we are at an hour. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you for spending a nice Sunday with me. I hope this was genuinely useful. This, I think, is, well, I know I've seen students use it. This is a solid recipe for actually building this subset of vocabulary and being able to flow with it. Right, so again, if you're a self-directed learner, this masterclass might be enough. If you want to really install this material in your playing with systematic step-by-step lessons, right? A 17-lesson course exists on jpbouvetmethod.com that teaches this exact stuff. And it is one of a couple dozen courses that build this type of material. I specialize in systematic methods that build improvisational flow material, which doesn't mean you don't do fundamentals. We're talking ghost notes, right? We're talking kick drum freedom. We're talking normal stuff, but we're also talking about filling and flow material. And the point is that all of it, no matter what we're studying, our goal on my website is always, can I create the options and the ability to move between the options so that I can improvise with whatever it is that I'm studying, be it ghost notes, kick drum, freedom, flow, triplets. Soon we'll be doing a jazz course. There's all sorts of stuff there. Use the code Paradiddle, take 30 days for free. It's open to anyone. And that's it. Congrats one more time to Zen for the year-long subscription that you earned. And that's it. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I will talk to you soon. And happy practicing. Later.